What's going on? Happy Wednesday morning. So, Karmelo Anthony was found guilty of murder of Austin Metcalf. And so, let's talk about that, okay? so, yeah, I'm on a new job site. We're getting ready to install some laminate flooring for this lady. And so, I figured I'd make this video real quick while I'm at it, and then do like maybe a little before and after of what we're doing, okay? So I just wanted to say thanks to the justice system for the giving the Metcalf family justice in this case. Uh, I went back and I watched the videos that I posted last year when this first happened, and it kind of brought a tear to my eye once again. Here we are a year later, and Karmelo Anthony is being held accountable for murdering Austin Metcalf. And I wanted to kind of go a couple different directions with this. I'm not even gonna bring it up as far as what all the black racists are doing. They're trying to still be on the side of Carmelo Anthony despite uh, the guilty verdict. Okay, whatever on them people. They'll never hold uh, themselves or other black people accountable. They're just racist. Okay, I think we all can see that now. All right, so no more on that. What I do want to really emphasize is how the Metcalf family handled themselves throughout this whole ordeal. And I just really want to give a big shout out to that family, to the Metcalf family, for showing real grace throughout this whole thing. It reminded me back when the Anthony family did that press conference not too long after their son murdered Austin, and they were playing the victim, right? And Jeff Metcalf was there, and he just wanted to have a conversation with the family. They didn't even give Jeff an apology. I think that angered me more than anything. The Anthony family didn't even apologize to the Metcalf family for their son's loss. And that just shows the character of them. You could at least apologize to the Metcalf family, but no, they did a press conference and were playing the victim, right? And I was just reminded of that yesterday, and the contrast of how the Metcalf family conducted themselves throughout this whole ordeal, and especially when they were beginning to attack Austin, his character, Hunter's character, and then making themselves seem like that they were the victims in all of this, right? And so, shout out to the Metcalf family for showing real grace, real faith, right? And I'm glad that Austin is receiving the justice that he deserves. Now, I, I, man, justice goes pretty quick down in Texas. I know each state has their own way of doing things, but so apparently, from what I'm hearing now, is that the jury is considering a 35-year sentence, right? Uh, you know, I think a lot of us wish that he would get life, but the man in me, the brother in me, would love to see Carmelo go to prison for the rest of his life. I feel like he absolutely deserves that. But for the Christian in me, I do believe in second and third and fourth chances. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for that. So I still have to extend that kind of grace. And as one who spent 14 years of life in prison, I know what prison life is like. And so the Christian in me prays that Carmelo could take that time in prison and do some self-reflection. He first needs to own up to his actions. That's where it starts. I would love to see that from him. If he just takes ownership of it and apologizes and show some remorse for murdering somebody. Okay, it was so unnecessary. He needs to do that first. I don't think he's at that place yet. His parents aren't holding him accountable to be at that place yet. But hopefully, the Christian in me prays for him. Okay, that while he is serving his time, that he can better himself and do some self-reflection and grow. Okay, you can make positive changes while you are locked up, or you can become worse of a human being. You know, so it's all about what you choose to do. And so I'm gonna just wrap it up with this, and I'm gonna go in. I'll show you what we're working on here. We're just getting started. Um, so yeah, once again, thank God for the guilty verdict. Um, 35 years. You know, I guess he'll serve at least 20 of that. You know, that's pretty. You know, that's fair, I guess. Um, I kind of want to. I know what prison life is like. I know what's in store for him. It's not pretty. You know what I'm saying? So I really don't wish that on him. You know what I'm saying? Even though he deserves it. But like I said, the Christian in me can't really. I can't do that. You know what I'm saying? I'm happy with the guilty verdict, right? I don't want him to go to prison and face the horror that's potentially awaiting him there. He's got something to really face, right? And I know the only way he'll really be able to survive in prison is he would have to make atonement. He would have to show some remorse and show that he's willing to change his outlook on life, right? So enough of Karmelo Anthony. He is getting what he deserves. It's all about the Metcalf family now and how they handled themselves throughout this whole ordeal was exemplary, and it's just good to see how they did that, because most people would have lost it. I don't think I would have been able to contain myself like that. I'd have been wanting to do something, right, as a lot of people would have. But the Metcalf family showed real grace throughout this whole ordeal. Shout out to Hunter, losing your brother like that. I know you'll never. It's something that changed your life forever, But but stay strong in your faith and know that justice has been served. And thank God for it. Okay, so as we wrap it up, maybe we'll go in, do a quick walkthrough right quick. We're installing laminate flooring for this lady. She just bought this house, and so give you a little tour. So, anyways, this might be like my little before and after. Oh. All right, here we go. There's my buddy there. So we're pulling up the carpet. Gonna lay the floor, and see it here. And that's Mr. Bill, my buddy. There we go. So then we got another one lined up after this one. So busy. Tell him, Bill, we stay busy. All right. Thank you for watching. If you haven't already, hit subscribe, like, and a comment. I welcome it all. Until next time.